Dad looked at my report card and questioned if I was truly his child, emphasizing my dad's size. Growing up in a family of doctors, I always felt the pressure to follow in their footsteps. From a young age, I dedicated myself to studying diligently, consistently achieving top grades in my class. However, my efforts didn't meet my dad's expectations, who himself is a doctor. He insisted that my achievements needed to be at a national level to be deemed satisfactory. Repeatedly hearing this, I gradually developed a disdain for the medical profession. My name is Sophia, and both my parents, as well as my relatives, are doctors. The assumption was that my older sister, Elisa, and I would naturally pursue careers in the medical field. Elisa effortlessly became a doctor, receiving praise for her accomplishments. Our parents favored her, always getting what she wanted, leaving me envious. Despite being 5 years younger, I was constantly compared to Elisa, and I was made to feel inadequate. Even though I couldn't achieve what Elisa did, it was treated as a failure on my part. As time passed, my parents seemed to lose interest in me. Elisa, stressed from her studies, would verbally abuse me and at times even resort to physical aggression. Fearing my parents wouldn't believe me, I kept silent. I attended a college preparatory school, but due to the ongoing verbal abuse, I decided not to pursue college. I left home, working part-time, and eventually found a live-in job at a hotel in a tourist area. To leave home as a minor, I needed my parents' consent, and they provided it without a word, possibly just wanting me to leave as quickly as possible. For over 6 months, I had no contact with my family. Unexpectedly, as the year-end approached, Daddy called and instructed me to come home for the New Year celebration, where I would be the host for the gathering of relatives. Although it's a tradition for the family to gather every New Year, it has always been a painful experience for me. I end up handling all the odd jobs, from cleaning and preparing food to manage drinks, baths, and food for relatives staying over. Mom gives me instructions and Elisa, predictably, ignores me altogether. Despite wondering why these responsibilities always fall on me, guilt about not pursuing a medical career and the desire to conform made it easier to go along with it. I initially believed I wouldn't be called back because I left home, but Daddy's call prompted me to return for just one day. However, when I arrived home that day, Daddy scolded me for being late, expressing frustration as everyone was coming soon, and questioning why I didn't come back yesterday. But I'm busy at work this time of year, so it was hard to take even a day off. Stop making excuses, hurry up, and get ready. You wouldn't listen to me at all. Sighing, I entered the house where Mom was waiting. There was no feeling of relief coming back home. I just cleaned, cooked, and prepared drinks as Mom told me to. As the relatives gathered and the party started, I was out of the loop as usual, but strangely, that was more comfortable for me. The conversations were filled with complaints about the hospital and gossip about patients. It seemed like nothing but bad-mouthing others. I even started to believe that becoming a doctor made everyone talk negatively about someone. For me, it was not a fun space at all. However, Elisa seemed to enjoy mingling, looking down on other doctors and patients, and making fun of them. As I carried drinks, Jack approached me. "So, Sophia, being a doctor was impossible for you, huh?" he said with a smirk, and I felt disgusted. I wanted to say that I hadn't failed to become a doctor. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to be someone who couldn't live without demeaning others like you. I swallowed the words that almost came out because saying them would only drain my energy. Night came, and I fled from my family home. My parents complained about how the cleaning would be done and who would entertain me tomorrow, but I didn't care. I have to work early tomorrow. Without even bringing a change of clothes, I just said that and quickly boarded the bus home. That was the only contact with my family for a year. When it came, I thought, not again. Every year, I took a day off, went home, and immediately returned. It wasn't that I didn't find it bothersome, but it was only one day a year. I lived at home until I graduated from high school, and they even paid for my college preparatory school, despite not going to college. so I figured it wouldn't hurt to show my face at home that much. 7 years have passed since then, and I'm now 25. I still visit home once a year, unchanged. It's that time of year again. I should be hearing from Daddy soon. Just as I started thinking that, the phone rang. I assumed it was Daddy, but when I looked at the screen, an unexpected name was displayed. I pressed the call button, and Elisa's name appeared on the screen. It was unusual to receive a call from her, and a sense of fear crept over me as I answered, fearing that something might have happened to my parents. However, contrary to my concerns, Elisa's voice burst through the phone with excitement. "Hey, you know the young CEO at your workplace? He's been on TV a lot lately, hasn't he?" she said, her tone filled with enthusiasm. Elisa's demeanor caught me off guard, as this was the first time she had expressed such excitement. Confused and a bit uneasy, I responded, "He has opened a few new hotels, so he has had more opportunities to be on TV." Elisa, still in high spirits, replied eagerly, "Introduce me to him. I fell in love with him when I saw him on TV the other day. Plus, he's a young master, right? I think he'd suit me." I was at a loss for words, taken aback by the unexpected nature of her request. What did she mean by suit me? Gentle Mike and Elisa, who enjoyed looking down on others, seemed like an unlikely match. Trying to make sense of the situation, I responded, "He has been on TV due to the new hotels, but I don't think I can just introduce you to him." Elisa dismissed my hesitation, stating confidently, "Oh, I see. You, a lowly worker, wouldn't have a chance to be close to the CEO. Maybe you've never even met him. Even if you have, a plain woman like you wouldn't stay in his memory." While I struggled to find words to respond, Elisa continued her monologue, seemingly satisfying herself. "That's right. Do you know when the CEO will come to your place? I'll stay over that day. If I can meet him face to face, he's mine. He won't resist a beauty like me. So, make a reservation and let me know. Of course, since I'm going out of my way to stay over, you'll have to cover the lodging costs." I was left speechless by Elisa's audacity. Attempting to change the subject, I mentioned our family's tradition of arranged meetings for marriage, assuming Elisa had already gone through that process. However, her response surprised me. "Arranged meetings? There's no one decent. The other day, they introduced me to a 35-year-old guy, and I was disheartened. So make a reservation and let me know." Feeling overwhelmed, I told her it was impossible and abruptly hung up the phone. A month later, on New Year's Day, I reluctantly went back home for just one day, planning to entertain my relatives as usual and then leave quickly. However, this year, my relatives were unusually intrusive, with Jack commenting, "You work at a hotel, don't you, Sophia? I can't believe you can keep up such a low-end job." This was followed by Mom's judgmental remarks, saying, "Indeed, we're impressed you can do a job that's not as essential as ours." Daddy chimed in, expressing his satisfaction that I left the house early, so he wouldn't have to hear from the neighbors about my activities. I couldn't help but feel embarrassed and saddened by their comments. While I knew they felt that way, hearing it all at once indeed stung. Elisa, laughing, added insult to injury, saying, "You don't have any redeeming qualities, so you'll be alone forever, right? What will you do?" Her words momentarily erased my sadness, igniting a desire to give it right back to her. I couldn't hold back any longer, releasing the emotions I'd been suppressing against Elisa. "You're 30, aren't you?" I blurted out, unable to keep my frustration in check. "You're 5 years older than me. What are you going to do if you keep having such high expectations? You'll be left behind." My words, however truthful, only fueled Daddy's fury. He demanded an immediate apology, firmly taking Elisa's side, as she was always their darling. Feeling fed up, I sighed, wishing they would live as a family of 3 forever. Ignoring Daddy's anger, I thought of expressing my frustrations further. But before I could, he yelled, "You, a failure like you, are ashamed of our family? Get out now." His expression mocked me, and I took a deep breath, finally deciding to speak my truth. "I won't be coming here anymore after this year. I declared, picked up my belongings, and headed for the entrance, thanking them for everything up to that point. I heard the sound of a car outside. Opening the door with my shoes on, I saw a luxury car parked there. My parents and Elisa, noticing the car sound, came out, and a man emerged from the driver's seat. "Elisa, the first to recognize him," exclaimed, "President, it's Mike, the president of my company, the person I asked you to introduce." Mike, smiling, approached the entrance. Elisa, excited, suggested, "Sophia, could it be?" implying that I should introduce him. Trying to keep my composure, I said, "Sorry to keep you waiting. I was just leaving," and Mike smiled in response. "I thought it was about time, so I came to pick you up," Mike calmly stated, leaving my parents and Elisa in a state of shock. Behind them, the faces of the relatives who had come out to see what was happening reflected disbelief. Daddy, in particular, stared at Mike dumbfounded. Mike walked up to Daddy and respectfully said, "I apologize for my late greeting." Following that, I leaned close to Mike and announced, "He's my fiancé. We're getting married next month." I could hear Elisa's voice, my parents' voices, or perhaps both in a state of surprise. I chuckled and added, "But I have no intention of inviting you to the wedding. I have no lingering attachment to this house, so I don't think I'll be coming back. It seems this wasn't the place for me to return to after all." After Mike proposed to me, he expressed a desire to greet my parents. I explained my situation up until now, and everyone noticed the problems in my family due to my reluctance to go home. Once they heard about the bad reputation of the hospital, as Elisa had spoken about, Mike decided to come and pick me up. Ignoring my stunned family, I continued, "By the way, there's a new hotel opening near Daddy's hospital. I'm involved in the project, and during the local research, I found out that Daddy's place has been involved in multiple medical malpractice scandals." "Is that right, Daddy?" His face changed color at this revelation. I questioned, "You're not involved in this, are you, Daddy?" According to the locals, the reputation of Daddy and Elisa was the worst. "Elisa works there too. Are you sure it's okay?" According to the locals, the reputation of Daddy and Elisa is the worst. I continued. I was shocked to hear from the locals, like father, like daughter, referring to Daddy and Elisa. At that moment, I'd also learned that Daddy and Elisa were causing scandals, and I felt somewhat responsible for it. "That's why I'm excited to make the hotel business a success and please the locals," I explained. In contrast, Daddy and Elisa looked pale. Since I had told my fiancé Mike everything, he simply opened the passenger door without any unnecessary interruption. I met Mike right after leaving home under the previous president's policy. Mike, the next president, was working in the field, and we became close friends. I later heard that he fell in love with me at first sight. Unlike before, when my efforts were constantly denied, the more I worked hard, the more I was appreciated. I worked hard because I enjoyed it, and he seemed to appreciate that attitude. Mike took over as president after the previous one fell ill and proposed to me about 6 months ago. His words, asking for my support, resonated with me. Since accepting the proposal, I've been learning various things, focusing on business studies. I realized that I don't hate studying. I enjoy gaining various knowledge. What I hated was studying only to become a doctor. When I find something fun, I tend to look into it, and the more knowledge I gain, the more I want to do. As I was about to get into the car, Daddy yelled, "Hey, Sophia, what's going on?" I smiled and replied, "I'm no longer a daughter of this house. Goodbye," leaving my confused family behind as the car quietly drove off. Later, the new hotel opened successfully, and I was busy working on site from the first day when it was fully booked. Then my parents and Elisa showed up. Daddy, spotting me, called out, "We came to see what kind of work you're doing and to stay over. Prepare the room quickly." I wanted to ask what nerve he had, but I was too busy managing the site. Seeing this, Mike rushed over to send my family away, but they stubbornly caused a commotion in the lobby. Since I wasn't getting anywhere, I had a security guard step in, Then a woman named Olivia, who entered the lobby afterward, exclaimed, "Oh, it's you, the teacher." I later heard that Olivia is a nurse at Daddy's hospital and doesn't think highly of Daddy and Elisa due to their arrogant attitude. Witnessing Daddy being escorted by a security guard, she seemingly found it amusing and shared it as a funny story at work. Olivia, as it turns out, is a neighbor and friend of the front desk staff, and one of them shared the amusing incident with me. Naturally, the rumors spread throughout the hospital, causing Daddy and Elisa some embarrassment. As for Mom, she used to work at the same hospital but has since retired. However, her retirement was a mere formality. The truth was she was forced to quit due to a scandal. The information I accidentally heard Olivia slip during our conversation. I had another job to attend to and was at a different hotel when my parents and Elisa came to the hotel again. Frustrated at their audacity, I had no hesitation in calling the police, and they were taken away for obstruction of business. Because of Daddy and Elisa's past behavior, the rumor quickly spread in the hospital, and the struggling hospital was forced to shut down. Passing by my family's home a little while later, I saw that it was vacant. They must have sold it out of financial desperation. I'd also heard rumors that Elisa's attempts at matchmaking had failed, so perhaps various local gossip forced them to leave. I've changed my cell number, so they can't contact me, and of course, I have no intention of contacting them either. With the opening of the new hotel settled, I'm looking forward to my wedding next month with the wonderful Mike by my side. Both my work and personal life are looking brighter than ever. I hope you guys enjoy our video. To watch more interesting stories, hit that subscribe button. Thank you.